everybody, and welcome back to the Inn. It's been a while, yes, and we apologize. We've had a lot going on.
We were closed for renovations.
Closed for renovations, but now the Inn is back open, the tables are set, and we're ready to just head first dive back in.
And we're hiding our money because there's a new rogue around.
Somewhere. It'll be coming soon, and, well, I would hate for us to go out of business because of it. But anyway, what we're here for today is we're going to start a 3-part discussion with Hearthstone right now. And for this video, what we're going to be discussing is the nerfs and balances that Blizzard and Team 5 are taking for Hearthstone going forward.
So, before we actually talk about the nerfs proper, and you can dive into that, let me break it down for you guys. Everybody was whining and complaining, rightly, about the state of the meta, and how strong the pirate package was. Why hasn't Blizzard nerfed this? It's taking forever. It's been 3, 4... I even saw estimates. It's been 6 months. I'm going, guys, it's just like released 2 months ago. Guys, Ministries of Gadgetzan released 2 months ago. People were complaining about it less than a month after it came out. And let's really break it down how this goes out. My personal design philosophy, I think that nerfs should be done sparingly. I think nerfs overall can be very unhealthy for a game such as Hearthstone, because it's a competitive card game, and especially with the standard format, I think that nerfs should be something that are done only in extreme cases. And a lot of times, sometimes I wasn't really convinced that some cases were extreme, but in this case, I understand why it happened. I don't think nerfs should happen a lot. I don't think nerfs should be the go-to. And I think we're going to talk a lot more about this in the next video, about why I've moved on from, during set rotations, going from nerfs to just rotations. But in general, if you have to nerf a card, you need to be... I have the conservative mindset, and I think Blizzard does too, to not do it a whole lot, to be very conservative about your actions, and where I think I differ from Blizzard, I think you need to take the minimal route possible to make the change. I think Blizzard did very well this time. We're going to go over specifics later. But in general, I haven't always been the greatest fans for some of the reasons that they've changed cards. I'm still not the best fans, because I think that there are some design and game philosophy discrepancies that I think really need to be dealt with. And yes, I do agree that I think Blizzard needs to do a lot more playtesting, or it needs to figure out how this really will affect the meta. I think that means you involve a lot more competitive Hearthstone players in your testing process. But I also understand that you cannot adequately, as much as you try, you cannot adequately create a ladder environment on private test servers without opening up because Hearthstone is not like a game like Overwatch, where you can have a private test server and mess around with changes. When it comes to new cards being creative, the Hearthstone design team is very, very secretive, and rightly so, about those cards getting out. So you really can't have a test server where you just invite people in. That kind of ruins with what you're trying to do with creating excitement for future releases, especially when cards are going through a variety of changes. So it's something that, yeah, I think is a weakness, but it's also something I'm not sure how they can really fix it. That being said, let's get down to the release. Here's how I think it went down, and why everybody whining they took too long. They did not. First things first, if you're going to be very conservative and with nerfs and you don't want to affect a card, Eddie, how long do you wait?
If you're incredibly conservative, you're going to wait about... You'll take a look, like, I would say after about a month.
1 month.
You're going to look and you're going to... Like, here's the thing. I say 1 month because it's like, okay, we're going to look. And because when everything first goes out into the wild, it's like, okay, this is out here in the wild. The first month, this is what happened when everything was out there. And we go, okay, so this was played like this, and this is what topped here, 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 and here. All right, so this could be a problem going forward. We'll keep an eye on it, and then after that, we'll take another month. Did things change? Did it shift? Did people find a way to either properly counteract it or properly handle the situation adequately? And is it still being as highly and as hotly played or hotly used as it was last month? And then we basically compile the data to get a monthly number and then the bi-monthly number, and just see if there have been changes at all. If not, and it didn't change, and it's so just basically involved, and it's just everything looks or feels the same, then we go, okay, how do we fix this? Or how do we potentially shift it to where it's not a huge problem anymore, or being played at 50% in a sense?
Yeah, a month is about a good enough time period to get a general sense of how things are going. That's when you can get a lot of your data. And I think about a month is about when your meta starts to settle. So I think a month is normally a good enough time period. Now, why didn't we hear anything from Blizzard? Because here's the thing. Because even I remember, and I'm putting myself in the same mindset as the Blizzard design team here. I honestly do not think Blizzard thought it was as big a problem that it was 1 month in. And the reason I say that is because while there were people complaining in the Hearthstone community, there were also a lot of more experienced players going, guys, give the meta time to. The meta is not entirely settled yet. This always happens. It's going to go away. People were still saying that a month after release, even though the meta actually had settled. Everybody thought that pirates were going to go away. People didn't think that pirates were going to stay around.
Oh no.
And that's the thing. That's why I don't think Blizzard thought it was that big a problem. I think they thought, people will figure out a way around it. The meta will settle. The meta will kick pirates out of the curb. We've seen this happen with aggro time and time again. And the meta will settle into something more predictable. And then it didn't. And then about a month and a half, they're going, this may be a problem. They started acknowledging that there might be a problem a month and a half. I think that's when they started realizing, crap, it's not going to go away. But you really can't say to the community, guys, yeah, you're right, we're panicking now. Let's come up with something. You have to play it cool. You have to say, yeah, I think there may be a problem here. We'll look into it. Because that's what you do when you're a freaking company, guys.
You're if anything, what he's basically saying is it's kind of like political speak in a sense. It's very, very much, while you're not trying to show your full hand, you're at least giving the illusion of, yeah, by the way, we know, but
they have to do so many other things. They know the constraints. They know more about the systems in place and what they're going to have to do with it. I really don't think they had too much time to really think about it, because I think they were thinking a lot about a lot of other things. At the same time, they were considering set rotation. They had a lot on their plate, and the fact they had to fit this in. The fact that they announced 2 months after is when they finally announced, yes, there will be a nerf. Here's where it's going to happen. And why do we have to wait until the end of the month? Because Hearthstone is on how many different platforms? You have to organize everything, and it really isn't that easy behind the scenes. Just the fact that they know that they're going to have to make that they know the nerf's coming up doesn't mean that they can get the patch out right away. There are actually scheduled patches for each of the different Blizzard games. If you actually own more than one Blizzard game on Battle.net, take the time and see about how often patches come out, and if they come out on certain days. And if you're doing that, you might notice something about Hearthstone. Eddie, do you know when? And how often they put out? Let's use the card backs you get from reaching at least rank 20. How often do they include those card backs and updates?
I want to say when they do their big patch drops.
They put up to 3 at a time in updates.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. That's what I normally go with, and it's just, because it's just like, okay, we've got this huge big patch that's coming out, or at least big drop that's coming in. The last one was in December with the Mistress of Gadgetzan rotation. So what they do is they just put in their code and they go, okay, unlock on this day, unlock on this, and then unlock on this. So their next big drop in release is going to be soon because, hey, their patch time thing is running out for their next card backs, and might as well just go ahead and drop it in.
Ding, 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 ding. So when you have somebody go, well, I don't understand why Blizzard can't do a patch every, immediately, or every week, or every 2 weeks, or every month. I mean, I could get maybe every month, maybe. But, every week or something. Guys, seriously? Hearthstone is the only Blizzard game that's on multiple platforms, specifically on mobile. Grow up.
I don't think it's more of a grow up.
Okay, stop being morons.
That is very bluntly the way to put it, but it's more or less...
I'm feeling very blunt today.
It's fine. We, as a culture at this point, we're very much want this, want it now sort of mentality. And I can attest to where, yeah, it's understandable. It very much is. However, I also have to be someone who's realistic in knowing that it takes time for a developer to be able to do something, or at least get something out.
And when we're realistically looking at the timeline, it makes sense where Blizzard was at each step of the way, and even if Blizzard had realized it 1 month after release, they really still couldn't have done anything until now anyway. We are getting the patch and the nerf and the absolute minimum amount of time Blizzard really could have gotten it out there. So guys, the problem's being taken care of. And I think we've talked a lot about what we think about certain nerf design philosophies before, that we really don't have to go over that again.
And the other thing, too, being is that right now, when it comes to this, I don't know exactly what the championships are going to be playing, like what patch they'll be playing, if they'll be playing pre-patch or post-patch.
Well, normally they're going to be, those championships will be, there'll be championships out before the patch hits. Now, there will be, the winter championships will be out afterwards, but...
Yeah, that's what I was going with. I didn't know if the winter championships were going to be played on the second patch, or...
They'll be played on the patch with the nerfs. But it gives them time to prepare.
It does. So you also have to kind of think about this in that competitive sense as well. That unless something is a huge, major, oh my god, we can't deal with this problem, like when Yu-Gi-Oh! Had the problem with Pepe, which is a Performer Pal Perform Mage deck, that...
I thought that was a Penguin.
Not Penguin. Pepe. That is the technical name and term for it.
But isn't Pepe the penguin that hangs out at Kroger's?
Yes. But that's beside the point. But they had that deck being played at a 70 to 80% at their Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship series. And Konami had to step in and go, whoa, no, we can't keep having this. This makes for a stale metagame. Emergency ban. The reason that they can do that is because they can step on a platform, because this is a physical card game, and they can just go, okay, look, no having this or limit this to that. And players can adequately shift a lot easier. There's no need for a patch, there's no need for this, or anything like that. With Hearthstone, you have to have the developers go in, code it, and then you have bugs that potentially crop up, and it's a bigger, larger problem than what you have with a physical card game.
Not to mention, you always have to check to see if no Stormu is playing nice.
Stormu, I've come to bargain. But you can at least kind of see the differences in, like, not only Yu-Gi-Oh, but also Magic the Gathering. Because Magic the Gathering has also had to have emergency bans before. And the difference being is Konami and Wizards can just step up on a platform and just say, here's what you do, and you have to follow it. This is our rules. You play by our rules, and what we say goes. And if you can't, then out you go. Digital, you have to set things into motion first. And that's just how things go. And you gotta step back and understand that. And that's my 2 cents, at least where that's concerned. I've got more where balance and everything comes in shortly. Go.
Well, enough on that downer. Let's actually talk about nerfs. Okay. Well, first of all, there is Small Time Buccaneer, the problem card that necessitated this in the first place. And the only change to that is it's being changed from a 1-2 to a 1-1. So it's just going down to 1 health, which is huge. Let's be honest, that is huge. That means it can pretty much be removed with whatever you have. That makes it easy to remove, and that will mean that we should see a drop from Shaman. We might see a drop from all rogues except Pirate Rogue, and we're definitely going to see it in Pirate Warrior. So basically, that means it's not going to be an auto occlude because the Pirate package is so good. That means it's just going to be used for synergistic purposes in decks that use pirates or in pirates specifically. Which, let's be honest, that's how it should be.
Yeah, and if anything, when you come right down to it, you're taking something that was difficult to deal with because it being 2 health, you had to either waste something like a Frostbolt or a weapon charge to be able to get rid of it. Now you can just ping dead. And I've seen the comparison to Cogmaster, because back in the Goblins vs. Gnomes days, Cogmaster was the exact same sort of setup, 1 cost, 1/2, which would get +2 when you had a mech. The difference between Small Time Buck and Cogmaster is, number 1, Small Time Buck helped make a deck thinner because it's Small Time Buck patches comes flying out of the deck. You basically had a 29 card deck in a sense instead of a 30 card deck because you could just thin the deck faster. Cogmaster, it would be 1 mana, I hit the board. Next turn, unless I'm playing Annoyatron, then that card is easy to deal with because I just go, okay, I deal with the mech. That card is now at 1 attack again. I'm gonna smash it, kill it, and move on. The weapon, you have 2 different ways of dealing with weapons. You have Acidic Swamp Ooze, which is your best way, and honestly, the most common card out there that you're gonna see to just nuke a weapon. Or you have Toxic Sewer Ooze, which, unless you're playing an arena, you're not putting that thing in your constructed deck. Unless you're specifically just looking to go, I hate aggro and I hate weapons, get rid of it.
At that point, you might as well be including Harrison Jones.
Exactly. And Harrison Jones is even a better selection choice for people. And most people will pick it because, oh, hey, looky here. I get to draw cards from this. Thank you. So really, when, like, I can understand where people say, well, Hearthstone needs to be more explorative. Most people aren't going to look at something like Toxic Sewer Ooze and go, yeah, let me include that in my deck. Dupe. No. Most people aren't. It's a filler card at this point, and while I can understand why you would include it or at least try to put it in, most people aren't even going to touch it. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, and I want to touch one more thing because I want to get this regular discussion out of the way before going into this. There's a lot of heartburn about, well, why didn't they just turn Small Time Buccaneers into a rogue card? That would be better. Here, listen, guys. I agree. I think Small Time Buccaneer, number one, it should have either been in the current state it is pre-nerf. It should have either been released later on down the line, so that that synergies with patches was not going to be as big a problem, or it should have been a rogue exclusive card, because I think it would have been the most useful as a rogue exclusive card, especially in the last since in Masters of Gadgetzan. I think rogue was a class that really didn't get as many good cards, I think, as some other classes did. Rogue had a lot of some minions that are not and we're not going to see play, just to be frank. I think Small Time Buccaneer would have been a brilliant rogue card to especially bolster the pirate rogue archetype. I think if it was rogue exclusive, people would not be having the problems with that they're having now. Heck, if it was even warrior exclusive, people would not be having the same level of problems. It's just the fact that anybody can put it into those decks. So there it is. Now, the thing is, just because I think that it probably should have been a rogue card to begin with, does not mean you can just randomly turn it into a class card when it comes to nerfs. Because here's the thing. When it comes to the class-specific cards per set and per expansion, they're delicately balanced so that each class has the same amount of cards. What you're saying is, let's make this a rogue exclusive card and imbalance the card distribution that we had earlier. Now, that may not make such a big difference to you, but for Blizzard, they're not going to do that, because for them, then either they're going to have to do something to another rogue card to just get it out there for everybody, or they're going to have to make it up to the other classes. I mean, to us, it's not a big deal. But they did try to balance each of those classes, having about the same amount of cards and trying to keep them about the same amount of power levels. The same power level. Are they always successful? No. But that was why Small Time Buccaneer was never going to be changed into a rogue card. That ship had sailed. Deal with it.
And if anything, I do agree and understand where that comes from. It's one of those things to where maybe now going forward, Blizzard or Team 5 can specifically stop and just go, maybe we can give this class this card and it not be too much of a hamper or too much of a problem to where people are basically beating the door down going, hey, we got Patches and Reno right now just being the meta, and then Big Bro just turning around laughing, go play Control Warrior then. I love you, Ben, but
don't laugh at Control Warrior.
I don't laugh at Control Warrior, but it's just more or less, I want Team 5 and Blizzard as a whole to just, when it comes to the health of the game, or at least when it comes to balances, patches, and nerfs and things like that, I want a healthy metagame. And right now, I can say that, okay, sure, there's a lot of decks that are out there. But really, when I stop and I think about it, there's just this turnout of, you're looking at, as far as the classes go, you're looking at basically the same classes every time. To where when you see a new class pop, you're like, ooh, look at there, it's a unicorn in a sense. I want enough diversity to be able to go, okay, aggro can exist, mid-range can exist, control can exist, and there's these counters to each one. Like aggro can knock down control, or at least attempt to knock down something like Jade Druid. And it's just this entire sort of thing to where it's like I'm not looking right now at Hunter and Paladin going, you guys suck, I ain't playing you. So just think, in a sense, just attempt to think going forward with like something like Small Time Buck. It would be amazing in Rogue because it would make Rogue be like, oh hey, looky here, Pirate Rogue. That can go off, that can be an archetype now. Yay, and go have fun. And then, or like Pirate Warrior, that can be incredibly strong and be a meta deck. And just, that's my 2 cents. Go.
I think we're done with that.
The next one being the Spirit Claws. It's going from a 1 cost, 1/3 weapon, to now it's being 2 cost. Now, with this card, it's no longer, I'm just going to drop this on turn 1 and go. And it also has a lot of competition in that 2 slot. You're looking at the Stormforged Axe. You're looking at the Jade Claws, which I still say could have also went to Rogues to potentially develop the Jade Rogue archetype, but that's where that competition comes in now. So it's, do I want this axe that's going to overload, or do I want this 2 mana thing that when I roll my spell totem, or when I drop my Blood Mage Thalnos to give it 3 attack, or do I want something that's going to make my Jade package stronger? You've got a lot of thought that has to go into your deck now at that 2 cost slot. So while it's balanced, I still look at Shaman and go, I can't put my finger on it. There's still something about Shaman that's just going to turn my stomach a little bit. Because it's just still an incredibly powerful class right now. And just, I trust Team 5 and Blizzard to be able to, hopefully with this new set, counterbalance it. But I don't know. Bob?
Yeah, I agree with Kibler. I think the change from 1 mana to 2 mana is huge. You are effectively doubling the mana cost. And Eddie's right. There's a lot of competition there. I think that we're probably going to see some Shaman, some players going to continue to try to use it, but it's going to become a very hard sell because, yeah, Jade Claws are going to be just so much better, and I think they're going to have a harder time trying to figure out a way to keep it into the deck. I think we'll definitely see people try, but I don't think it's going to be as big a threat, and we're probably going to see it diminish after a while. Maybe I'll be wrong because Shaman's pretty parasitic in how it grabs cards these days. I think Shaman especially will give it a good college try with keeping these nerf cards, at least for a little bit. But I expect them to kind of diminish over time. And especially with the upcoming rotation, they'll be losing a lot of stuff. So we're going to see several Shaman archetypes just fall by the wayside. And hopefully that means that the class in itself will become more focused.
See, the thing being is, I know you just said that, we'll see a lot of archetypes. Right now, there's 3 big rooted archetypes for Shaman right now. And it's aggro, mid-jade, and control. Control right now is about to lose a balls ton of its tools. It's gone. Aggro loses a little bit.
Oh no, aggro's losing a lot. Aggro's losing its early game.
Yeah, that part I can say. That's why I'm saying it's losing a little bit, because
And for aggro, early game is everything. That means aggro is getting hit hard. Jade Claws are no longer going to be viable. Small Time Buccaneer is no longer going to be really viable either. And then they're going to be losing pretty much their early lineup come rotation. Aggro is going to be hit kind of hard. We're going to see mid probably try to stick around, but
mid jade will stay around.
I expect things to get maybe get more refined. Like, maybe the deck will actually get a little bit more refined, and if it slips more towards a more purified Jade Shaman, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Shamans getting more refined. Like any other class actually having refined archetypes.
The only argument I will throw in that defense is I don't want mid Jade Shaman to become the consistent mid Shaman level where it was tier 0 in a sense. That's the only thing that makes it to where I'm a bit skeptical.
Well, especially if you lose some of your early game stuff, I think that's going to affect some of your mid to late game stuff, because that means you have to reconsider how your deck is put together. And
you've got the stuff coming in.
What?
You also have to think about whatever may be coming in. That's where the murky waters come in.
I think Shaman's going to be hit decently enough, not only by this, but by rotation, that I don't think it will defang them, but I think it will put them on the same level when all is said and done.
I am hopeful, because I am tired of Shaman!
And that is why I'm going to come up with new Shaman archetypes after rotation, just to annoy you.
Go right ahead. I won't be playing against you.
But what if I challenge you?
You can challenge me. But I'm not gonna just, if you queue into Shaman, I'm just gonna concede and go pick another deck.
But Darwin.
Yeah, you have your Darwin deck, at least your Darwin deck idea.
Next time we talk about classic cards. Bye-bye!